Hi everyone. So good evening and welcome to this session. My name is Abhilasha and I'll be taking you through this course structure and design and all of that of the IIM Bangalore UG courses. So IIM Bangalore has very recently launched two UG courses, one with the BSc Honors in Economics and another one in Data Sciences. So we are going to be talking about each one of these. We are going to take a look at what the entrance syllabus is all about. We're going to talk a little bit about all of that, right? So before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Abhilasha and I'll be taking you through today's session where we will talk about IIM B, the UG courses, the English portion of it, the VARC syllabus and strategy, everything to do with VARC. Before I begin, can you give me a quick update as to I am visible or I am audible? Am I or am I not? If I'm not, then can you give me a quick yes or no accordingly so that we can start? Also remember to hit like, share, and subscribe to the session because of course without you hitting the like, share and subscribe it's not fun. Also subscription helps because you can participate in the chat box as well as get notification of the next sessions. For any inquiry with current launcher you can always connect on this number 8130038836. Okay, so that's what you need to do. All right, let's get started. So what is this whole IIM Bangalore UG course? So IIM Bangalore has very recently launched BSc Honors in Economics and BSc Honors in Data Science. Okay, for the academic year 2026-27, these are the courses. The application window is simple from 3rd week of October to 20th November. The application window is open. You can apply. The IIM Bangalore UG admission test is happening on 13th of December 2025, which is Saturday. The interview window is 22 to 31st of January 2026. The interview will be an in-person interview. The offer will be released on 28th of February 2026 and the last date to accept the offer will be 31st March 2026. The release of the waitlist will happen on 15th of April 2026. So those are the details for admission. And here is the syllabus and everything else that you want to know about the exam. So the syllabus is NCERT grade 9, 10, 11 and 12 syllabus. So NCERT grade 10, 11 and 12 syllabus, the test is 120 minutes long. It is a computer-based test with 60 multiple choice questions, right? Now there are 3 sections in this. There is English comprehension with 15 questions, quantitative and data interpretation with 30 questions, and logical reasoning with 15 questions. Now please understand this course is going to be heavy on economics. The other course, which is bachelor's in data science, will be heavy on data, numbers, stats, maths, quant, and that is why this paper has so much emphasis on quant and reasoning. And of course English is the language of teaching, and that's why 15 questions of English. So out of the 60 questions, 30 questions are QA and DI, 15 questions of logical and 15 questions of English. There will be a 1/3 negative mark for this. So if you get a +3, and then there will be a -1 negative in this test. I hope the format of the test is very clear with you guys. Okay. Let us now look at the syllabus and strategy for the English comprehension section. Remember, there are 15 questions for English comprehension. These questions, where should they come from? Let's take a look. So broadly, the syllabus will be a blend of reading comprehension, grammar and usage, vocabulary and verbal reasoning. So that is the entire syllabus. Now, what are we expecting in 15 questions? There should be probably one short reading comprehension with 4 to 5 questions. So that will be 10 questions left. And then a mix of objective questions covering para jumbles, para completion, sentence correction, idioms, synonyms, antonyms, closure, spot the error, all of these types, right? So we are saying that it will be a mix of reading comprehension, grammar, vocabulary, and verbal ability, which is the para-based question. So broadly, all the 4 areas of verbal ability, VARC, will be covered. Right now, interestingly, VARC is not just memory based, right? Some of the vocabulary could be memory based, but other than that, VARC is all about logic, tone, and precision. So therefore, you must train yourself to think in English, not just rule based stuff, right? Now, how can you do that? You can do this by daily reading, consistent vocabulary practice, and by mastering your grammatical reasoning. What do I mean by grammatical reasoning? So you know your rules, and then you know how to apply those rules onto other things. And that's grammatical reasoning. So therefore, one of the cornerstones of your preparation has to be daily reading. Right? So spend some 20 minutes on reading every single day. That's going to be very, very helpful. Now, like I said, reading comprehension is going to be the most important portion of your VARC section. Okay. Now, you need to be able to ace those 5 questions within that first, since you have 60 plus 60, 120 minutes to do the entire section. For 15 questions, I assume that you should take around 20 minutes. Okay, this 20 minutes can be broken up like this, that you spend 10 minutes on the reading comprehension, and the other 10 minutes you spend on the rest of the questions. Okay, so 5 questions of RC should take you 10 minutes, and the 15 questions of grammar, vocab, etc. should take you another 10 to 12 minutes. So that would be around 20 to 25 minutes at max. Okay, so how do you do a reading comprehension in 5 minutes? Because you've been doing reading comprehension in school for the longest time and you've never done it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Then what is it that you're going to do? So here, the first thing that you should do is look at the questions. Okay, that's the first thing you will do. You will look at the questions, read the questions. Once you've seen the questions, what is it that the question is asking you? Keep the keywords, underline the keywords or write them on your notepad, and then start reading the passage. When you read the passage, pay attention to the first line of every paragraph as well as to the last line of every paragraph. Try and understand what is the author trying to say after every line. Ask yourself, okay, this is what he has said in this line. Tell yourself this is what he has said yourself in he has said in this paragraph. So at the end of every paragraph, you sort of sum up what has been said in that paragraph. So that will help you, skim the passage. Focus on his tone, opinions, and transition words. What are the transition words? Words which show you the progress of the passage. So for example, first, second, third, but, yet, however, additionally, furthermore, now, next, later. These keywords which tell you, okay, what is the next step that is happening? Pay attention to these. Okay. Now, let's say you have spotted an answer. Please go and cross-check the answer, verify, because remember, there is 1/3 negative also. There can be 3 types of questions. The first type, and this I'm teaching you in class also, the 3 types of questions. The first type could be the global questions. Now, the global questions essentially mean what is generically being spoken about in the passage. So, main idea, theme, tone, purpose, title, keywords, that. So these will not come from a specific line. So these you have to read the entire passage and sort of find out what he's saying. Then you have the local questions, which are specific to a particular line. So look for the keyword, go to that particular line, find your answer. And then you have the logical questions, which are the reasoning based questions where you have to understand what he's trying to say and then use. So keep that in mind. Always remember to keep the extreme words like always, completely, never, no, all, must, will. These are very typical distractors in your options. So pay attention to those. Okay. All right. Now, what do you do to improve your reading comprehension? What can you do? You can read one editorial or one article every day. So 10 to 15 minutes every single day, do some reading. Okay. You can alternate between opinion pieces and factual topics, but that's entirely your choice. But the kind of articles you should be reading would be economics. Okay. Would be business. I'm telling you because this is what you will ultimately end up with. Articles related to econometrics. Okay. Articles related to developmental studies. Why? Because all of these will be part of your exam. Okay, so focus on this type of reading. Okay, once you've read read up an article, write down the main idea in one line. When you write the main idea, you have already distilled it. Okay, you can read the Economic Times. Okay, you can read the Economist. You can read the Hindu. Okay, you can read EPW. These are all good sources to find your articles. Okay. All right. Here is a small passage that I have brought for you. We will just take a minute and go through it so that you know and you understand what the passage will be. The rise of digital media has transformed the way people consume information. With algorithms tailoring content to individual preferences, the traditional gatekeeping role of editors has diminished. This has both democratized information and allowed misinformation to spread more easily. What is the author's primary concern? Is it the decline in print journalism? Does the passage really talk about decline? The risk and rewards of algorithmic personalization. Okay. So what happens when algorithms sort of personalize things? Are there risks? Are there rewards? The popularity of social media influencers. We're not talking of influencers. So I'm going to cut out. See, the growth of internet in rural areas. Again, it's not about rural areas. So no. So now between 1 and 2, of course, you know the answer has to be option number 2. There cannot be any other answer. Okay. Which of the following best explains democratized information? What does the author mean when he says it has democratized information? Democratize comes from demos, which is people, and cracy is rule. So democracy is people are ruling. So democratized information means everyone has equal access to create and share information. There is no regulation in this. Not editors, not so, and readers can view, no, they can also share information. So therefore, democracy of information is when information can be read and shared by everyone. All right, I'm not going to do the other two questions. We won't have that much time. All right. Now, you will have questions on verbal ability, which is questions on parajumbles and paracompletion. Now, what is a parajumble? A parajumble is where you are given 4 sentences or 5 sentences and you have to arrange them into a particular order, right? And for paracompletion, you get a passage and then the last line or one of the lines is missing. You get 4 choices and you have to fill the missing sentence, right? So a paracompletion would look something like this. A parajumble would look something like this. So you have 4 statements, A, B, C, D, right? And then you have to arrange these sentences into a coherent paragraph. One of these choices is going to be the correct answer. Then, of course, you can also have paracompletion where a sentence is given or a paragraph is given, and then thereafter there is a blank which has to be filled by the one of the choices. So the debate over climate change policies continues worldwide. However, most scientists agree that action is urgently needed. Many politicians deny its existence. The issue remains controversial. All countries have agreed to the same policies. Now you have to identify what is the best answer. It says the debate continues. and yet most scientists agree that something has to be done. One would be the best choice option for this. Okay. All right, then you can have grammar-based questions. Now, the grammar-based questions could be spot the error or sentence replacement. Spot the error means a sentence is divided into 3 or 4 parts and some portion has an error. You have to spot which portion has an error. Sentence replacement, a part of the sentence is underlined and you have to say if it is right or wrong, and then if it is wrong, then you replace it. Right? Now, when you're doing sentence replacement, understand that these are the major areas where questions come from: subject verb agreement, tense consistency, modifiers, parallelism, prepositions, articles, also pronouns. Okay, these are certain areas from where you will get questions. Now, in this case, whatever you should do is first read the whole sentence and then try and see what is the subject and related verb. So that will give you subject verb agreement. Sometimes there is a pronoun, that check for that. Sometimes there are multiple verbs, check for tense consistency. If none of these words, then look for modifiers. If there are descriptive words and phrases, check for parallelism and so on, right? Always read the full sentence first and then look at what the answer should be. Use your elimination very wisely. For sentence replacement also, you will do the exact same thing. Choose the best option. He don't like to be disturbed during work. I know he is my subject. Don't is the verb. I know do is a plural verb, right? They do. He does. So therefore, what do I need? I need the singular verb doesn't, and therefore not likes. He doesn't like to be disturbed during work will be the correct answer. All right. So find questions like this. Spot the error. The committee have decided to postpone the meeting until next week. No error. Now, when a collective noun works as one unit, then it is singular. And therefore, you cannot have, you will have has decided. So part 1 will be the part that has an error. And you mark that and you carry on. Okay. All right, then you can have vocabulary questions also. See, those 15 questions will have some vocabulary. Vocabulary could be synonyms, antonyms, one-word substitution, idioms, phrasal verbs, right? Now, how do you work on your vocabulary? Of course, what you can do is you can do a bit of etymology, do roots, prefixes, suffixes, so that you know, right? You understand at least what is the tone of a word. For example, ben means good or mal means bad. So wherever you will have a word which says ben, you know it's going to be good. Wherever you have a word which has mal, you know it's going to be very, very bad. Okay. So those help you. Do synonym, antonym questions if they're contextual synonyms and antonyms. So read that sentence and identify. Idioms, again, do this. The best thing is to create your own notebook for vocabulary and then keep writing the words there. So look at this. The manager's meticulous planning impressed the entire team. You have to identify what is the meaning of meticulous. Of course, it will be thorough. It will be careful planning. It is impressing, no? It has to be good. So it cannot be a negative word which is careless, casual, or indifferent. Now, if you have to identify an antonym of obscure, obscure is something that is hidden. So therefore, hidden is a synonym, vague is a synonym, uncertain is a synonym, clear will be the antonym and your correct answer. All right, some one-word substitution could be where a phrase is given and you identify. So a person who loves books is a bibliophile. Philanthropist is someone who loves mankind. Pedant is someone who's very theoretical. Cynic is someone who is very doubtful of everyone's intention. So bibliophile. A blessing is disguise is something that looks bad but is actually good. So something good that seemed bad at first, right, is a blessing in disguise. So it is disguised. So you don't know if it is a blessing. It looks bad, but it is actually good. And then you can have fillers also, guys. Fill in the blanks could be grammar-based or vocabulary-based. Now, please try and read. The options actually give you whether it is a grammar-based or a vocabulary-based question. So pay attention to the sentence, read the sentence, and then take a look. So she heard, hears, heard, has heard, forgets, forgot, forgetting. See, this is a grammar-based filler. So she heard, because of course it's happened yesterday. So she heard the news yesterday, but forgot to tell me. And therefore heard and forgot. Forgets is present tense, therefore it would not work. Hears is present, so therefore it would not work. Has heard is present tense, so would not work. Forgetting again will not work. It requires another helping verb, so no. So this is all about tense consistency. So check and mark. There could be odd sentences also. So odd sentence will be if you have some sentences that are given and then one of the sentences doesn't match. So the sun rose over the hills, the birds began to sing, I switched on the street lights, the sky turned orange. Look at this. It's a morning. So sun is rising, birds begin to sing, sky turns orange. All of these are about a particular morning. I switched on the street lights is the odd one out. So your answer will be option number C. Okay. Then you could have closures or analogies also. Now, what is a closure? A paragraph that is given and one of the words or two of the words are missing there. Okay. An analogy is a comparison. So, sun is today, moon is to what? So, sun lights up the day, moon lights up the night. Of course, that is what it will be. Right? So, correct answer should be night. I've given you these questions so you understand what the type of questions could be in this exam. Now, some final words of advice for you guys. Anyone who's writing this. So the VARC section should not take 35 to 40 minutes here because it's only 15 questions. So 20 to 25 minutes is what we are looking at, right? For an RC, spend, like I said, 10 minutes for the RC. Okay. And then 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes for the VA or the rest of the questions, right? 5 questions of RC can be definitely done in 10 minutes and the other 10 questions can be done in 10 to 15 minutes. 1 minute per question will do. While you're practicing, please practice your vocabulary questions very well. Practicing your grammar is very important, right? So read, like I said, read from Economist, BBC Future, Aeon essays, and all of these. Do grammar practice, vocabulary list, and para-based reasoning every time. Please go through these one by one so that you are able to practice and learn. It's not a one-day thing, but it will happen over time. Remember, on the exam day, you have to remain very calm and focused. Go through your RC slowly, read the passages, pay attention to the first and the last lines. If you know the vocabulary-based answers, mark them. Don't guess randomly. Okay? Always in grammar, always check subject-verb agreement. It's the most easy one. Read every sentence very easily. See if you're finding something wrong. Discipline is very, very important. All right. I hope I've been able to give you some insight into this exam. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you don't have any questions now, you think of any questions later, you can put it in the chat box, right? 13th of December is the date for this exam. We are doing a lot of classes right now. Also, some sessions will happen. So do join in and do keep practicing. For Career Launcher, you must maximize every minute of your exam prep by accessing the new Muscled Up CL app on the move. Android and iPhone users can download the app by using these QR codes. All you need to do is scan the QR codes and you're good to go. So download this new Career Launcher app. The new avatar is already here. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope this session was helpful and I will see you in more sessions of this time. Bye-bye.